It's another day on planet Let Go, right? Let go, let go. Is the mic on loud enough? Maybe a little bit more on my mic. Let go. Planet Let Go. It's not a matter of if you will let go. You will let go. It's just a matter of when you choose to. And when you're willing to take little let goes along the way, when the big stuff comes up, it's not quite as difficult to deal with. This particular talk comes out of a story from the book called New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. It's in the second chapter. And he talks about the current state of humanity. And the current state of humanity is egoic consciousness. This huge energy in a little tiny form called ego consciousness, declaring itself to be the whole of everything, attaching itself to things that rise and fall, come and go. All the time we do this, and when we attach to anything strongly, a strong opinion, a strong emotion, a strong stance, and believe that what we are thinking is real and feeling is real, we can become wonderfully powerful on this planet and incredibly dangerous at the same time. And we witnessed that this week. The ego gone wild, yes? And believing that its thought system is complete, and of course it's not. So when we look at the healing of the earth, we look at taking this ego and taking a look at it, bringing awareness to it, bringing awareness to it. The actual story in that chapter is with Eckhart Tolle being with a woman who's making her transition from a long illness. She's on her way out of her physical body. And he's with her, and he's practicing stillness with her, just allowing her body and mind and emotions to slow down enough so she can feel the presence right beneath the experience that she's in the middle of. And great moments of stillness and quiet calm, where she begins to glimpse the reality of what she is beyond the form. For the first time in her life, busy school teacher, mother, grandmother, no time for the stillness. But now, when life sort of comes to its end, it's time to begin again, right? And to feel something deep within the well of our being. And she's feeling this for the first time. About 3 weeks into the process, he comes to visit her, and he notices that she's very agitated, she's very upset, and she's angry. He said, what's the problem? What happened? She goes, well, someone stole my diamond ring. My diamond ring from my grandmother. My hands are swollen now, I can't wear it, and I think I know who it is. It's that woman who comes in 2 or 3 days a week. I think she stole it. I'm thinking about confronting her, or maybe, what do you think? Should I call the police? And Eckhart just does the Eckhart Tolle thing and breathes with her and says, I can't tell you what you should or shouldn't do. However, I might offer you a question. At this point in your life, how important is the ring or anything else to you? At this point in your life, how important is the ring or any other thing you feel is a possession? Might you be willing to look at that? And she goes, well, what are you talking about? It's very important to me. I told you. It's in my family. It's an inheritance. I've got to pass it on, blah, 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 blah. And he takes a deep breath with her. He said, I want to just entertain the idea that maybe there are some questions that we can work with to help you enter a place of stillness about this. And so he says, I want to ask you 4 questions, and I'm going to ask them to you now during your lesson summation. We'll go back over them again at the end. But this relates to any time we're facing any kind of loss, and everybody is here. Someone's attached to something in this room. Oh, I hear it. And you get a chance, whether it's a mental formation, a physical thing, whatever it is, you get a chance to look at it, and on Planet Let Go, you're going to get the rehearsal for releasing it and letting it go now. And so he says, I want you to not think about the answers to these questions. I want you to feel them. And the answer may not come in words. He said, first of all, do you realize that you will have to let go of this, fill in the blank, at some point? Perhaps quite soon. How much more time will you need before you're ready to let it go? Will you become less of who you really are when you let it go? Has who you are been diminished by this loss? And she just settles into that. And of course, when she asked that last question, will I be diminished? Her ego mind, attached to this thing that's so important to her, begins to say, of course, it's so important. Then she goes, but wait a minute. I am more than anything I could possibly lose. And she begins to smile. And Eckhart looks at her and sees she's getting it. And she comes forth with a teaching from Sri Kumari from last week, from the master. And she goes, you know, when I asked myself that question, and I listened deeply inside, the answer that I got was, of course, I could never be diminished by any kind of loss. The ring has no power except the power you give to it. And so she gave that power away, and now she was taking it back again. And so she began, as she began to lose her physical form, to give away things that were her possessions. Like we're asking you to do with the garage sale, your tchotchkes. To just let them go. If you're not using them, give them to someone else. Put them into circulation. Let them go. And with everything that she let go of, a kind of freedom came over her, a great joy of being present. Being present. For whenever you let go of something that you're attached to, your thinking mind is attached to, you discover something that's there. The joy of being present. The joy of being present that lights up everything. Because what we do here is we confuse the joy of being with things that we possess. It is said in the first point in the lesson summation, whatever ego seeks and gets attached to are substitutes for the being it cannot feel. It's substitutes. We play pretend. Let me see if this one will deliver. Let me see if that one will deliver. And we get it, and we hold on to it, and then we see it doesn't deliver, and then it gets taken away, and then we suffer because of loss once again. There is a plan for getting deeper than that. And we're talking about that right now. Life will give you whatever experiences are most helpful for the evolution of your consciousness from separation to oneness. Say amen. Amen. Life will give you whatever experiences are helpful for your evolution from separation to oneness. Everything will come to help you do that because we live on planet Earth. And when I let go of things that I'm possessed by, I enjoy them more. This is why I like letting go. Because I enjoy what I do have even more when I'm not attached or addicted to the particular form. In the story, as she's making her transition, lets go of one possession after another, she finally lets go of the biggest possession we all have, which is a physical body. And he said there was a radiance that came forth from her that was just huge. And guess what? They found the diamond ring in the medicine chest. Did the woman who took it give it back, or was it there all along? That is not the point. The point is, when you let go of those things you are possessed by, you become free in that moment of anything that can rise and fall, come and go. It's a planet of let go, let go, let it go, let it go. Not because you don't want it, not because you don't love it, but it's going to have its time with you. And so you don't need to wait to the end to know what you can know now, right here, now, in this moment. You can begin to practice letting go. And again, life is going to give you whatever experiences are most helpful to help you move and evolve from separation to oneness. Oneness. I have a great story about this. Please put that picture up of one of my earlier great examples of that. That is my... That was my 442 Oldsmobile. I gotta tell you, man, I love that car. When I was 16 going on 17, I knew my dad was gonna get me a car from the family business. I would go to the Oldsmobile company, all the salesmen got cars, I was gonna get a car, but I wasn't gonna get it until I went to Miami to go to school. But I talked him in, I finagled him, as we say in the Jewish vernacular, to getting me the car in the 11th grade. Huge mistake. That I lived through those couple of years in high school with this car was unbelievable. But take a look at that car. That is a 1967 midnight blue 442 Oldsmobile. It's got 350 horsepower, 390 rear axle, polyglass tires, Hertz ratio, clutch shift, 0 to 60 in 6.4, and that was fast then. It's not that fast now. I love that car. I carved my name in the back of the seats that I sat in at school. 442, 442. This is my car. I am this car. I love this car. Love this car. So I had no spiritual practices then. In my second year of college, the car's parked right underneath my window. It's right there. And I walk out one day and the car is gone. Somebody stole the love of my life. My car is gone. And I'm just like, oh, who will I be without this car? What could I possibly do? And so a couple of days later, the police called up and they said, "We found your baby. You have to come and identify her." And so I went, and there she was. She was sitting up on four jacks, and everything in her was gone. There was nothing there. It was just this bucket seat and me with the steering wheel, with the rip in the seat. That's why they didn't steal this. Everything else in the car had been ripped off and taken. It was all gone. It was an empty shell. The RPM Sun Tac that I loved, and my 8-track tape player, everything. Everything. The only thing that was left on the dash was a little placard I had made up that said, "Property of Richard H. Levy." And I got to take that with me. No spiritual teachings, yeah. There's a story about a person having coffee with the Buddha. And they're sitting in the living room, and of course Buddha's sitting there with a big halo around his head, as they all have, totally present and complete and pure and holy. And she's sitting there, and they're talking about attachment and impermanence and letting go of things as a spiritual practice. And she goes, "Well, let me give you an example." She goes, this antique chair has been in my family for generations. This antique chair. And I'm entrusted with it, this antique chair. I've got to take care of it. It's important. People are waiting for me to give it to them. So I have to care for it. And so the Buddha says, as the teachers always do, Sri Kumaro says, "So tell me, what is it about this that you care so much about? Is it the legs? Or is it the arms? Maybe it's the cushions. You love the cushions, right? Is that it?" She goes, "Well, oh, no. What it is, it's important to me because it's a family heirloom." Whoa. So you are in love with the idea, attached to the idea of a family heirloom. You are attached to a series of thoughts called family heirloom. You're taking care of an idea. See, that's what we do all the time. It's not the thing itself, it's the idea that it represents. That's what I love about this. It represents an idea. When you can let go that this is ever going to be with you forever. What happens if it breaks? Some heavy person sits in it, it breaks. What happens if there's a fire and it gets burned? As it will, because everything here turns to ashes. Where will you be then? Ah, that's the question, grasshopper. Where will you be then? Where you will be is powerful when you can give it up. You can enjoy it while you have it, knowing that it's impermanent, knowing that you only get to be with it for a certain amount of time, and at a certain point you're going to give up everything. You will. When the car is all jacked up and your body's deteriorated, there's nothing else left, and they're giving your stuff away to people, none of these things are going to matter. What's going to matter most is what you've always had, and that is who you are. It isn't that we don't enjoy our possessions. I love my possessions. I really do. I enjoy them now that I'm not attached to them than I ever was when I was. So when the 442 was gone and I got the insurance check from the company, I went out and bought a CB450 Honda in 1968. That was the biggest bike going then. It was more powerful than a BSA 650, a Triumph 500. I had the new bike that was the cutting edge, and I did the whole thing all over again. Got attached, fell in love, loved my motorcycle. I loved that bike. I was that bike. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with loving your possessions. There's nothing wrong with envying what you have and other people seem to have more than you. There's nothing wrong with feeling diminished by things when they get taken away. When you bring awareness to it, you realize that that is never really going to satisfy you. You just bring awareness to it, and then you can enjoy it more. Plan it, let go. At some point, you will let go of whatever it is that you're holding on to. The mental concept, the idea of a ring, then you got a ring, then you don't have a ring. Oh, you got a healthy body, and then maybe your body isn't healthy anymore. Maybe everything's going your way, and then it's not going your way. When you practice letting go along the way, you don't get trapped when the big things come up. And by the way, they will come up. Because everything on this plane, once again, is an experience custom designed by the cosmic mind, by the real you and mind, to help you awaken from separation to oneness. That's what it's all for. So you practice it along the way, and then you can enjoy everything. I love this chair. This actually is my favorite chair. I'd like to pass it on to my family when I go. It's light, it's convenient, you can take it anywhere. I really like this chair, but I know it's only mine for a few short moments. And same with my mental concepts. The things I thought was so important a while ago. Do you remember when you were in your 20s? Oh, this is so important. I'm never going to feel differently about that. Well, of course, now I do. I'm in my 30s and 40s. Oh, that's so important. I must have this. Oh, now I'm in my 60s. Oh, my Lord. And all those things are so less important because that wasn't what was. They were a moment. I caught it. I had it. I released it. I let it go, and I moved on. When I got the CB450, not yet having been in the teachings, I got this really big, huge lock for it. I'm not going to be trapped by this again. I got this huge combination lock. It was the thickest thing that I could find in the market. I'd lock that puppy up and I go, now I'm safe. Nobody can touch me. I'm in the gym. I'm always at the gym, working out, doing something. And I come back out, it's 110 degrees in Miami, and I forgot the combination. Has anybody ever done that? The combination. I couldn't remember it. There was no cell phone. I wasn't with Maureen at that point. And there was nobody I could call to help me. And so I just went, oh my Lord. So I went inside and I said to the guy behind the counter, I have to surrender. I can't get my bike undone. He's going, I'll get some bolt cutters. Up until that point, I've never seen bolt cutters actually work. I said, well, I got a really big honking lock. He goes, oh really? Sometimes goes, like a toothpick, like a pretzel in your office. It took 2 seconds. The idea on Planet Let Go that you can be secure is insanity, right? It's all ridiculous. It's all held together by duct tape and Jell-O. You can't hold on to anything here. Everything you're going to let go of, everything you're holding on, you're going to get to release. That's the lesson of being on Planet Let Go. And then you get to enjoy the Harley while you're riding it. I love my Harley. I love it. I'm totally attached to it. It's terrific. It's got my name on it, right? But I know at any one moment it can be gone. And so I enjoy it even more while I'm riding it. I had a guy the other day, I was sitting at a light, and he came up, and of course that thing is so loud it's hard to hear anybody, and I can't hear much anyway. And he said to me, bike, beautiful bike. And I said, thank you. And as I was going by, he bowed to me. I love that. Yeah, baby. But you know what? It's already on its way out. It's getting old. It's getting cracked. It's getting dented. It's getting nicked. It's getting scratched. Do you hear me now? You can enjoy it even more. We live in the Western world and we have stuff. It isn't about getting rid of the stuff. It's about getting rid of our attachment to the tchotchkes. And then we become more free and we can enjoy whatever the beloved presence gives to us, because everything's a lesson to help us evolve from separation to oneness. I have a dear friend who we've known for some 30 years, and she's always been very deathly afraid of death, of dying. She just never liked the idea, and we talk about it, and she just kind of go like this. And so what is the lesson that the Holy Spirit gives her? She's become, over the last 5 years, a gatekeeper for family and friends who are making their transition out of their physical bodies. You know, God always gives you what you most need to learn. And this last story comes from someone who left a year and a half ago, a very dear friend of 30 years, who she got to be there for and hold her hand while she was making the transition in her body. And then after she left her body, she got to be there with her sister and wash the body, clean it. And then she got to take rose petals and place it all over this beautiful dear friend's body and cover her up so other people could come and say goodbye to that very dear, sweet, sweet friend. And the fragrance of what she was writing to us in the email was like listening to an ascended master who had learned the graduation exercise of no longer being attached to the fear of death. Beautiful stuff, and every one of us faces that every single day. We just recently, Maureen and I and Carl, watched a movie about the Bee Gees. How many here love the Bee Gees? How can you mend a broken heart? I had no idea the story of those people. How can you mend a broken heart? You open up your heart. That's how you mend it, right? And the story of their life was more about their love for each other. The three brothers loved and adored each other. They loved working together and co-creating together. They were such a powerful group. And as their stardom grew, so did the chances for falling into all the pitfalls that happen when you become a great big, huge star. The drug abuse, the alcohol abuse. The thing that held them together was their love for each other. And what happens with people who are in the music industry is every 10 years, the music that they were playing dies out, and then they're no longer popular, and you lose sight of them. The Bee Gees were able to continually keep letting go of their old sound to create a new sound because they weren't afraid to let go. And so they create a whole new sound. Next 10 years filled with their new sound. And it would happen again, and then they would create a whole new sound over and over again. And the story about Saturday Night Fever is really a great story. When they were asked to write music for that movie, they were not trying to create the disco scene. They were just writing some music for a movie that had dancing in it. And then all of a sudden that took them to superstardom. The whole disco thing came out of that movie. I think that it was said that one record, that Saturday Night Fever, sold more except for Michael Jackson than any other record ever did in the whole world, and that's still true. They had a 707 jet with the three of their faces on it. That's how much money they had pouring out of them. And yet, they didn't lose connection with their creative presence with each other, because they knew in time, that would also die out as well. And it did. All of a sudden, the crowds that were cheering the disco scene began to jeer it. Everybody started hating disco music. And they started to blame the Bee Gees for the disco music. You guys are the reason why you're here. And all their other music was discounted because of people hating them now because they created the disco scene. So they all got together again and went, well, you know what? Let's do something different. Let's let that go. And let's start writing music for other people. And then they wrote this body of incredible music for other artists to perform. I had no idea. There was 7 or 8 incredible songs that they had written for other people. And they were having just as much fun writing for other people as they were for themselves. They kept letting go, recreating themselves, and moving forward with what was next to do. In the midst of their great losses, they used those tragedies to keep waking up to who it is that we truly are. Their brother at 30 years old, Andy Gibb, joined them for just a moment in time, and he burnt out at 30 years old and took a drug overdose or alcohol overdose. They lost him. And then when they lost the middle brother, Morris, it was a very, very powerful moment. That really just tore them apart, their hearts. But yet they knew from that broken heart, something magnificent could come forth and forward. And what came forward was the song called Immortality. Listen to the words of this. Oh man, listen to this. So this is who I am, and this is all I know. I must choose to live for all that I can give. The spark that makes the power grow, and I will stand for my dream if I can, symbol of my faith in who I am. But you are my only, and I must follow on the road that lies ahead. I won't let my heart control my head. But you are my only. We don't say goodbye. We don't say goodbye. And I know what I've got to be, immortality. I make my journey through eternity. I keep the memory of you and me inside. Immortality. There is a vision and a fire in me. And I keep the memory of you and me inside. And I won't say goodbye. With all my love for you and what else we may do. We don't say goodbye. Immortality is our reality. And then whatever it is that you're growing through, when you can bring forth your letting goes to leading up to the immortal moment of where you even release your most cherished concept, you'll find divine ideas will begin to flow through you when you're no longer holding on to who it is that you thought that you were. Great exercise for us today, don't you think? Yeah. So let's take a moment now just to breathe and calm down a bit, and I'll stop spitting and screaming at you. And let's just sit for a moment and allow ourselves to breathe in these 4 questions. Close your eyes and just know that everyone here is facing some kind of issue and tissue, some sort of loss that we can let go of, that will give us a kind of freedom. And as you think of that particular thing that you're dealing with, that attachment to some form, consider the idea of letting go. Do you realize that you will have to let go of this, fill in the blank, at some point? Perhaps quite soon. How much more time will you need before you're ready to let go of it? This is how we mend our broken heart. allowing it to open. Will you become less of who you really are when you let go of it? Has who you really are been diminished by this loss? Of course not. When the shell is empty and everything has been stripped away from you, you find yourself in your last few moments of life, the things that will matter most will be who you've always been, which is a powerful, incredible, beautiful being of light and life. We can begin to experience this mending and blending of our hearts with the cosmic immortal nature of who we are as magnificent sons and holy daughters of God. This is the gift of practicing on planet Let Go and releasing into the flow of that which has no beginning or has any end. And then when you open your eyes, which you can do now, you get behind the wheel of that big deal and you enjoy it even more because you're not addicted to it staying in its current form. And then more forms come and more opportunities come to release them and let them go. And in the essence of your true self, when you're finally done with this form, a whole bunch of other energies greet you and say, welcome home, we're glad you didn't waste your time. Welcome home, enjoy everything you've got, because all of it, no matter what the form, is part of God. This is how we mend our broken heart. We never say goodbye, my friend, truly, to anything that really matters. We just say hello to another drive with those we love most. Practice well. Practice deeply, not just for yourself, but for all the others who are on the highway with you. Namaste.